Hey everybody, it's Casey. Hank, right over on stage left, catching some sunbeams like he's wont to do. It's a chilly morning. Take this off a little bit, raise this up a little bit. There we go, I can hear things now. We are in Francis Marion, Marion Francis or Francis Marion National Forest, just outside of McClellanville, maybe 40 miles north of Charleston, South Carolina. And we've been here. We got here yesterday. There was some rain coming through. We got here the day before yesterday. Rain was coming through, so I set up. Plus, it was windy yesterday. 20, 30 mile an hour, 40 mile an hour gusts. Little much for the tractor trailer to be hauling in the rain, and nah, I wasn't doing it. And as you know, national forests are free for dispersed camping, so here I am. So it's huge. It's a huge forest. it goes and goes and goes all over the place. But the reason I'm here, the reason this is I told you in the last video, it was just a quickie, that I was going to tell you why I'm doing this, because you gotta be a little different. You gotta be built a little different to do stuff like this. um, First and foremost, it was a bucket list thing since I was 13. I got my first road bike. It was a Sears Free Spirit 10-speed, and I got that when I was 13 years old. And I told my dad I was going to ride it across America, and he laughed at me, of course. And I fell in love with cycling on that bike. I rode the wheels off that thing. I lived out in northwest Ohio, out in the middle of nowhere. I had miles and miles and miles and miles of country road with very little traffic, and it was the fastest way to get around. So after that, after high school, ran a few biathlons, bike messenger in Boston for a hot second. Just love cycling. Done tons of centuries and double centuries, stuff like that, and easily thousands of miles riding. When the back and neck fell apart, there was also the balance issues that came along with it, and that was, over 10 years ago, I noticed balance was off, and I hadn't been able to ride. And I didn't realize it was a lost passion. My mental health was horrible. My physical condition wasn't anything to write home about. And a few years back, the neck pretty much completely disintegrated. So I had a second neck surgery, which fused me all the way from C3 to T2, 7 levels with laminectomy, that's where they cut out your spinous processes. They took out 5 of them, I think. Yeah. And to relieve the pressure on the spinal cord, and when you have this many levels, you can't do a plate, do rods. So there's a rod and plate, 20 screws or so, hold my head on. But I definitely wasn't going to be able to ride a road bike again, because I can't look up. I can't, the head doesn't go that way anymore. It doesn't go side to side very far either. It wants to hang down a lot, because part of that surgery is there's a mesa tendon that goes along those spinous processes that help you hold your head upright. And that all came out. So now my head's completely held up by muscular, these neck muscles back here, whatever those are. So yeah, I was 2 years into this, recovering from the second surgery, miserable, an apartment I hated, neighbors that would make Mother Mary a little testy. Um, ODs. It was horrible. Typical um, government housing type thing. Anyhow, I was on SSI. It, I was not doing well there. I'm thankful for it, but it's a tough go. You're well below the poverty line. Anyhow, enough of that nonsense. I still have back issues. There's a ruptured disc in the middle back, which in between 7 and 8, which makes sitting up and standing up, even right now, sitting up like this is difficult. That's why the recumbent trike is such a fantastic thing for back injuries and neck stuff. Oh, there we go. Anyhow, I was rehabbing a bicep tendon rupture. They had to reattach it, and they would put me on a recumbent stationary to warm up. And I realized my legs were still good, although I couldn't walk, and that was another one of my passions. I love hiking. I can't, about a quarter to a half miles about where I'm done. It's the pain levels get to a point where you don't enjoy it. It's horrifying. So I've found out that I can do this. Takes all the pressure off the spine. So I was like, And so I ditched the apartment, sold my car, got a Green Speed GTO. It was the 1010th model to come off the floor. So we're talking late 90s, early 2000s. We're going to say 89 to a 2000, somewhere in there. Decent shape, tires were shot, brakes needed some work, stuff like that. So I got it, started training, and when I first got it, I couldn't ride 3 to 4 miles, and because my legs were so spindly and weak from not being able to use them correctly, because can't stand, can't walk, and I definitely don't get on ladders unless I absolutely have to, and my days of being on roofs and as an electrician and as a mechanic are done. There's no coming back to that. So forced into retirement, sick of it all. Too much TV, too much news, too much nonsense there. And I got sick of it all. And I was like, this is the time. I need to do this. So I started putting together, I got out of the apartment, started putting together some simple gear that I knew I was going to need. Built the trailer out of my bed frame, which is funny to me, but hey, it works, and it's been working quite well, and some scavenged tires or wheels. And moved into my friend Marsha's backyard to get accustomed to tent living. That was my thought. And, started practicing riding around with a load, stuff like that. That was in April of 2024, I believe. Yes. And I worked my way up to when I did my first 50. I was like, okay, it's time to go. And it was August 19th. Packed up, and I hit the road. And rode up through the corner of, headed toward Cleveland, through Ohio. When I hit Cleveland, went over to Erie, Pennsylvania, stopped at my dear friend Fuzzy's place and hung out there for a couple days. From there, I took Route 5, Pennsylvania Bike Route 5 to Buffalo and picked up the Erie Canal and took the Erie Canal to Albany. Awesome ride. You should do it if you can, or even a segment of it. It's spectacular. The little towns are wonderful. And then from Albany, I came down the Hudson River Valley Trail, and I also believe that's part of the East Coast Greenway. and went to New York, and then from New York jumped over to Jersey, across Staten Island into Jersey. Through Jersey, I didn't take the northern option. I took the southern route through Jersey. Don't do it on a two-wheeler, no matter what. Both there were two different legs on it, and both of them were closed at the end. One was overgrown, and you could barely hike through it. The other just flat stopped. It wasn't finished. It was a nice trail for a hot second, but it just didn't finish. So Jersey was a horrible nightmare getting through. Met some good guys in Jersey, though, on the south end. And that was very cool. And that's been the benefit of this trip that I was not expecting, is that when I left Ohio, I thought we were doomed as a species. Pretty quick, like within the first 2 weeks, I realized, hey, people aren't that bad. It's just, what you're getting told is toxic as all get out. That idiot box just, oh my word. So that was the first benefit. Then people ask me why I'm doing this. And it dawned on me, is like, look, if I can do this in this tore up state, then a lot of people out there with similar injuries and issues can probably do it. If you're so inclined. Some of you would never do this, and I understand. It's hard. It's very, very difficult. It's very, very challenging. Not only physically, but mentally. A lot of high stress roads, particularly on the East Coast Greenway, because it's seems to be more of an idea right now than a reality. There are some trails along the way. If you get a chance, do the Virginia Capitol Trail, from Richmond all the way down to not St. James, Jamestown, where the first Europeans settled in 1607. That's a great ride. That's 51.7 miles of awesome. Going through Virginia was a nightmare. Virginia is it's a beautiful state to drive in. To ride a bike in, it can be horrifying at times. The roads are narrow, there's no shoulders, hills, switchbacks. It'll make you or break you through Virginia and the Blue Ridge and stuff like that. That made me question myself. But got through Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, hit South North Carolina. North Carolinians are great people. And once again, I was overwhelmed just by the general goodness of people. And that's been the benefit. And that's now why I'm doing it. I'm loving the conversations. I had these great conversations. That's what gets me up and gets me riding, because I want to see the next place and meet the next group of people. I'm in South Carolina. It's been pretty cool too. Where I am, it's funny, the different regions are how you can just tell there's differences in the social aspect. It's pretty wild. So we're not too far from Charleston. Can't wait to see that. Not too far, and then next one, and one I've really wanted to see, is Savannah. I've wanted to see Savannah, Georgia, ever since I visit Savannah, Georgia, ever since I saw Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Great movie. I recommend it highly. So that's what's down the road. More great conversations. My mental health has never been better. If for anything, you don't have to ride across America. You don't even, if you're suffering from back and neck and balance issues, yeah, probably going to need a three-wheeler. They have different kinds. You don't have to get the tadpole style, which is this. They have Delta styles, the two wheels in the back, and they make them in recumbents, and they're not as pricey. But get out there and do what you can. Exercise. It is the best thing for your mental health. If you're not busted up and you do have mental health issues, once again, particularly with depression, get out there and exercise. Exercise, 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 exercise. Makes your brain release the happy chemicals. I think it's dopamine. Don't quote me on that. I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. But I'm I should be, you'd think, with all the therapists and everything I've seen over the years. Good Lord. I've got a de facto doctorate. But I'm serious. Even in the toughest times, quitting that's never been my nature anyhow. Sometimes to my detriment. Quitting's just not what I do. Except jobs. I've quit a lot of jobs. It's been challenging. Physically, it's incredibly demanding, particularly in the mountains and particularly with the weight I'm carrying. I'm carrying a lot of weight. I estimate we're rolling down the road around 350 pounds. That's a whole schmoo. That's 3 gallons of water, 10 to 15 pounds of dog food, probably another 10 to 15 pounds of me food, gear, trailer, dog, me, the whole schmoo rolling down the road, somewhere around that 350 mark, give or take. And that's a load, folks. No motor assist. I'm using no electric assist. This is all human powered because that's the way I wanted to do it. Because my legs still work, and by God, I'm going to use those up too. I told my kid when I'm dead, if there's anything left to study, I wasn't trying hard enough. Or maybe they do want to study it and see how in the world I was managed to do what I did do. But get yourself a bike and ride it. Not a motorcycle, a bicycle. Something you have to pedal, something that's going to make you sweat. If you're tore up a little bit, you can get a little pedal assist, you can get e-assists. There's options. There's also excuses, and in my case, it's no excuses. If you want to do it, you do it. And that's where I am. It's the big bucket list started out. Now it's to inspire people that are tore up, whether physically or mentally, that if you get out and exercise, get out in God's greatest creation. You get out in places like this. I haven't seen a soul except when I went to the store. It's off season. That helps. The other nice thing is it's pretty cold out, so those dangerous warm weather critters, snakes particularly, and alligators and bears. Now the black bears, they're not hibernating. But they're also not horribly aggressive. They'll come in and tear your campsite up if you're not careful. But they'll usually stay away from you. Gators, I don't know anything about gators, and I don't want to see any. Hank is a 40-pound snack. That makes me nervous. That's why I put him in a metal cage. But do it for yourself. And even you don't have to go on a big, huge tour if you want to. Yeah, highly recommend it. But understand, it is not easy. It is not easy, especially when you're on a tight budget. It is not easy at all. It's not hotels, a couple nights a week, and bed and breakfast or nothing like that. It's this. every night, or not this. You just lay out on the ground, put your tarp down, throw your blankets and stuff like that down, and that's home for the night. And this is home for today and tomorrow. Wherever I am, that's home. My mailing address is back in Finley, but my home is wherever I am, and whether I am with Hank, that's where we're calling home. For it's I've always liked to camp. I've always been an outdoorsman. This is where I'm most comfortable. This is where I'm the happiest. Not a lot of car track. All I hear right now is my monochromatic nasal tone voice, and listen, that just breeze through the trees. It's it does that for you. So this is Casey. This is why I'm doing it. For all you veterans out there, talk to your VA. They can get you in a trike. You can get, and if your legs are gone, they make hand crankers. Met a guy in New York on a hand crank trike. Runs marathons with those bad boys. Back this wide, you could see every muscle in his back. It was astounding. He was missing both legs from the mid thigh down. Didn't ask him how. Didn't matter. He's missing both his legs. So veterans, talk to your VA guys. They might be able to help you out. I know a lot of the trike manufacturers. I know Stein Trike does. I know Greenspeed does. Do a lot of work with veterans to get you out there and get you moving and doing something fun. And, who can't have fun riding a bike or a trike? I mean, it's just fun. Ever since I was a kid, it was great. I taught myself how to ride a bike when I was 4, maybe 5. Boy, once I was able to wield that, it was on. I was motoring. I was moving, and that's what I liked about it. And I still do. I love cycling. It's just fun. Cyclists are kind of turds sometimes. We're a little picky about some really crazy stuff, but hey, well, what are you going to do? But that's why I'm doing it. NAMI, mental health, bucket list, and hopefully this will show people that even though you may be laid up and you may be disabled, you may not be able to work, there are ways you can still move around. Now, and forgive me for those who can, or quads or whatever the case may be, whether it's spinal cord injury or I guess they're neuroelectrical diseases, like Parkinson's, things like that, where you really lose all control of all your limbs. Obviously, you're not going to be able to pedal, but I did read a story about a guy who took his electric wheelchair all the way across America. So that was pretty cool. So, even if it's that case, you can get out here and do this stuff. And I highly recommend it. Take advantage of these things. You can go to national forests, be respectful, don't leave a mess, all that kind of stuff. Don't disturb the peace. It's not a place to go out and get guzzled up and ramrod around. No, it's a place to be quiet and have some introspection. And believe me, there's been a lot of time to think on this. Oh boy, I don't know. I'm somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,700 miles, 4 months and some change, 4.5 months. A lot of time, and it's been wonderful, and I can't wait to get to Florida to see my cousin, see some friends in Orlando. Can't wait to get out west, because farthest west I've really been is Colorado. I lived out there, but went to Utah, the eastern side of Utah, for a wedding. That was pretty special. But I can't wait to get out west in the Southwest. I can't wait to get into those desolate, flat, open roads where it's just wide open, and see what I can do on good roads or good trails, and just low traffic, and just pedal in B. So there you go. Check in on your friends who are struggling mentally. Check in on your friends who are struggling physically. Take care of yourselves. And to all the veterans out there, thanks. And we'll see you. We'll see you down the road. Maybe in Charleston. What do you think? Peace. I should do it this hand. This hand's so busted up, nothing comes out right, so I have to do it left-handed.